Yo, what's going on, guys? What? Hello? Hello? Can you not see me? Here. Got some glasses for you. Here, try them on. Ah, much better, right? In this video, I talk about Star Wars. Enjoy. Star Wars! Star Wars! I love Star Wars! Not enough proof? Watch this. Now that all the confusion's out of the way, why did I make this video? Well, it's simple. I need to answer just one simple question. How is Star Wars still relevant? So to answer this question, we first have to answer a more broad question, which is why Star Wars is influential at all. And we all know the reason for that. The perfect execution of George's vision, the artistry, the cinematography, the pacing, the storytelling. It's exactly what you want from a masterpiece. It is, in every sense of the word, a masterpiece. Everything that can be said about the original trilogy already has been said. So my point is, Star Wars became influential because it broke the mold of what could be. Sci-fi was just starting out in the 1970s, and has shaped sci-fi ever since. I've got a hot take for you all. The prequel world building, right, episodes 1, 2, and 3, have better world building and better design for their characters, ships, background, worlds, than the original trilogy. The original trilogy's design is genius. We all know this. I am not belittling the original trilogy, but the prequel trilogy is just a more interesting time period in the galaxy. The vision of Star Wars expanded with the prequels because George Lucas now had more access to better technology. It's the early 2000s now, right? The first CGI character, fully CGI character, is Jar Jar Binks. The wide use of blue screens and green screens. This is all Star Wars. Why? Because George Lucas once again pushed the envelope on what his movies needed to look like to him. Now that I've laid out the groundwork for what made Star Wars influential in the first place, the question still remains, why is it still relevant today, even after George Lucas sold the company? In the words of Anakin Skywalker, this is where the fun begins. If you haven't figured it out by now, Star Wars has always been an innovator in cinema. It's always pushed the envelope on what can be. It was always the canvas for new innovative ideas. And this is still the same case with The Mandalorian. I cannot believe it. Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, that whole team, they truly are the Padawans of George Lucas. We now see this new technology of this LED screen being able to simulate environments of anywhere and create new ones using the Unreal Engine. And now the actors don't have to imagine everything because it's no longer just a blue screen. It's an actual LED screen displaying the environment and actions around them. And it also looks really good on camera. This brings me into my next point. Star Wars did not become so influential because it did what the fans wanted it to do. So what do I mean by that? The fans don't know what they want. They may say they do, and they have gotten what they've wanted in the past. I'll give you an example. The Obi-Wan show. It's exactly what we wanted. We wanted easy to swallow, nice story about Obi-Wan Kenobi in between episode 3 and episode 4. It had badass Vader parts. It had really cool moments. And it's exactly what we asked for. But were we all satisfied with it? No, we weren't. Why? Why is it that we weren't satisfied? Because it was standard. It wasn't a bad show, but it didn't do what most Star Wars media does, which is go above and beyond the expectations of the crowd. Speaking of going above and beyond,
revenge is not the Jedi way.
I am no Jedi.
The most mature story told within Star Wars, in recent history at least, is within Season 7 of the Clone Wars. Here's why. First off, The Mandalorian appealed to a multi-generational group of people due to its character dynamic between Din and Grogu. Their relationship is very heartwarming and very entertaining to watch, and I can't wait to see what happens next in their story. The Bad Batch shows the aftermath of Order 66 and the rapidly changing galaxy through the eyes of these characters. And Kenobi, we get to see the redemption story of Obi-Wan's spirit. He was crushed after the events of Episode 3, and we got to see how he got back on his feet. I just gave 3 examples of some very great stories within Star Wars that have happened in recent years. So why is the Siege of Mandalore the most emotionally moving? The reason is, many people watching the Clone Wars grew up with Ahsoka. We got to mature at a similar rate that she did, and finally, after many years, we get to see the conclusion to her story in the Clone Wars. And what a momentous occasion. The other major character we get to see built up, really, in the Clone Wars is Darth Maul. A character that everyone loved when he was shown in Episode 1. And it was unfortunate that he was killed off in Episode 1. But, man, no one is complaining that he's back for the Clone Wars. Sam Witwer is a national treasure. Quote me on that. These 2 characters that have been so much of the focus of the Clone Wars have this monumental battle in the throne room of Mandalore. What a spectacle. And you would think after such a momentous occasion, the show would end, right? The good guy overpowered the bad, and all is well in the galaxy. But that isn't how it ends, is it? The 3rd episode of the Siege of Mandalore, we are caught in this limbo where we just saw one of the greatest victories Ahsoka's ever had in the Clone Wars, but we are all sitting and waiting for the moment that it all turns upside down. The music is still, is the word I would use. There is an amount of fear that you feel when watching this episode, and finally, you hear Darth Sidious say the words,
"Execute Order 66.
And hell breaks loose. Rex fought back against the chip for as long as he could, giving Ahsoka enough time to escape. And we get to hear Anakin cry out in anguish. And Ahsoka hears it, and you think of all the training she's had. It's almost as if Anakin had been training her to survive Order 66. It's crazy. The final episode's name is Victory and Death. Man, the show ends with the destroyed Venator, Ahsoka and Rex surviving and mourning the losses of Jesse and his fallen brethren, and is left up in the air what happens next. The imagination gets to run wild. What is Ahsoka up to now? How is Rex going to be a part of the rebellion? Your mind races with all these possibilities because you just watched one of the most crazy sequences in Star Wars. And the show still doesn't end. Years go by, and we get to see the snowtroopers in all their glory. And all of a sudden, Darth Vader's walking to the destroyed Venator, and he picks up Ahsoka's lightsaber. Darth Vader would never go to some desolate planet or moon, whatever it was, in the vain attempt of finding the remains of a Jedi. But Anakin had every reason to try to find Ahsoka. If you haven't seen The Siege of Mandalore, I beg of you, go watch it. Disney Plus is doing like a deal for like $1.99 for a month. Spend $2 and watch it. $2 for that? That's totally worth it. And you get Disney Plus for a month. Do it. It doesn't matter if you've seen Clone Wars or not. Clone Wars is a lot of content. You don't have to watch it. You don't need to have seen the entirety of Clone Wars, have grown up with these characters, to be able to identify a masterpiece. The writing, the pacing, the artistry, I'm just repeating myself from earlier in this video. It's doing the same thing that the original trilogy did, that the prequels did, what Mandalorian is doing. So much of Star Wars takes the expectation of what the general populace has for a good sci-fi movie, show, whatever, says, what, this? This is what you think is good? That's literally garbage. Try this. Every time. So yeah, that's my argument for why Star Wars is still relevant. If you made it this far in the video, leave a comment saying Commander Cody is the best clone, and I'll be sure to heart it. See ya.
Peace!